This is a film on computer animation. Computer animation like this. And like this. And like this. And a little bit like this. And a little bit on how it was done. And the live action portions of this were by Stephen Parody. Hi, Steve.
Hello, I'm James Leatham. I've been using my Apple II computer to do some computer animation for short science fiction film, and I have to admit that it makes it look much better than all these other things with wires and strings. But every spaceship should have its own computer, and I don't have a 21st century one, so a little trick photography, and everything that takes this computer for 13 seconds or so to draw gets put onto one tiny frame of film.
Film goes through the projector either 18 or 24 frames per second, giving me a speed magnification of somewhere around 200 times.
For the film Asteroid, this is a computer's eye view of the asteroid, drawn in it's a 3D display. The asteroid is described in the computer as X, Y, and Z points, and the program changes its imaginary point of view about it to make it look as if the asteroid itself is spinning. These numbers are added on separately, and right now the computer is drawing an image, and as soon as it's done and adds the captions, they'll switch off, open the camera shutter, right there. Then now it's closing the camera shutter, advancing the film, and erasing the screen, and going on to the next frame.
Here's what it looks like. I had a lot of fun and a lot of problems with this particular scene. You see, in the course of this program, a computer error that I wrote slowly but surely ate up the portion of the computer's memory which described what the asteroid looked like. So as the program progressed, less and less of the asteroid was being drawn. Now we were running a little bit over schedule at the time, and the way we solved this problem was we just ran the film backwards when we projected it onto the back of the phony spacecraft panel. So if you want to stop the projector and put it in reverse, you can see what it looks like, or you can just watch for a few seconds and see what it looks like in this piece of film that we couldn't really use in the movie for one reason or another. Right here. And here's
half of this asteroid is a chunk of iron.
Yeah, but look at the mass readings. It's too big to move.
Maybe. Maybe not. Let's give it a look.
I used my closet rather than building a light-tight enclosure for this project.
What are you doing, Jim?
I'm loading the programs. This is what's on the disk right now. Oh, this is one of my favorite programs right here. Let me load it up. Okay, here we go. Okay, now this controls the program I just loaded. And this shows that it's actually in the computer's memory.
That's the program.
Yeah, this program controls the camera. These control colors. Let's see, that's part of the color arrangement. Okay, run the program. It draws a little test pattern for focusing and framing. I tell the computer I'm ready. Selects the proper filter, in this case no filter whatsoever, and then it it prints out what's being photographed so I can tell during the editing process. It only displays it for a second or so because that's how long it takes to expose that frame. Okay, now it's resetting the color wheel to no filter whatsoever. And then it will show the header, tell me what it is on the film. Okay. Hopefully. Computer's drawing a Bessel figure. Each dot takes about 40 calculations, and there's about 1/3 calculations to do the entire screen. Okay, this is the black and white version, and it's simultaneously drawing color versions on screens you don't see. After it's done with all the calculations, it opens up the camera shutter, selects the red filter, shows what's on the red screen, selects the green filter, shows what's on the green screen, selects the blue filter and shows what's on the blue screen, then closes the camera shutter, advances the film, then goes on to the next frame. And here's a camera's eye view. But they're all added together onto one frame of film that looks like this. And here's a typical computer animated graphics display after 30 hours of computer time. The red number at the bottom means that some number is being changed in the mathematical formula that describes the shape of this object. Here the colors represent a different height. It's like a color by the numbers topographical map where different elevations get a different color. And this shows the prologue used in the film Asteroid. The computer memorized the shape of the entire alphabet and drew these words over and over again, but each time one dot position above the last time. Now this rate is a little bit too fast to read comfortably, and even more so at 24 frames per second, so I'd have to use fewer letters per line and get just a little bit closer to the screen with the camera. And here is a less typical sort of a Venetian blind wipe. This is how the memory is arranged in the computer's screen. This is as simple a dissolve or wipe as the computer will allow. Anything simpler is more complex to program. Okay, this next effect here is a radar display. What I did was I drew the line, the dot, and the circle, and then starting at one side of the line, I erased in a circular manner for each frame. So the part that's dimmest is the part that's erased first, and the part that's brightest is the part that's erased last. And that's why you get that fading effect. So much better than the rotating plastic you see on all the Irwin Allen submarines and spacecraft and such. Here I'm using the computer's built-in character set and color filters to produce this color display. We want something very similar to this for our next film, but written in an extraterrestrial character set. And if anyone in the audience thinks creating and then entering into the computer an alien character set is fun, please contact me and they can help. This film was run backwards to show all systems snafu after a nearby nuclear explosion. Here's one of my outtakes. This is supposed to be a long-distance video phone call from Earth to the asteroid belt. What I did was photograph myself mouthing words in front of the camera. I still don't have a sound camera. And then background the film, and then made some computer-generated static to represent noise in a digital television picture. And if you notice in the lower right-hand corner, the clock is actually working. Here's a computer display from our upcoming film, where a ground vehicle metamorphizes into a spacecraft. So the navigational system quickly switches from United States road maps to interplanetary display. Trace them
I would have liked to use a color version, but it wasn't ready at the time. This is nice. It takes about 250 frames or so to do one continuous loop, but after that the piece of film could be spliced to itself and then run continuously in the backdrop of our spacecraft. You notice for a moment there it looks like the CBS logos. I wonder why CBS hasn't gotten onto that. Okay, here's something else I did. I tried to get finer graduations in color. You notice that they're touching 0 and going right back up again? No, they're not. Or are they? Well, anyway, the color's better here anyway. Here's a slightly different version of that color Bessel figure. You notice that the graduations are finer here. This is a really neat effect, right about here. I like that. But I'm going to have to work on my fade out. I think I had some camera jamming problems at the time. And this is the end.